So today I have some very good news for anyone who's interested in learning a new language. And it's that one of the most effective things you can do in order to learn a new language is also one of the most enjoyable things that you can do. And that is comprehensible input. So let's break down the word comprehensible input really quick because some of you might not be aware of what that is. So when I say input, I'm talking about reading and listening, or taking in the language, as opposed to output, which is speaking and writing. Pretty simple. Comprehensible just means that it's input where you're able to understand most of it. It doesn't mean you have to understand every single word that you read, or you have to be able to catch every word in the music you're listening to or the show that you're watching. It just means that you should be able to follow along with the basic gist of whatever it is that you're taking in. Don't feel the need to look up every single word in your novel or keep pausing your TV show every time they say something you don't understand. That is not the point of comprehensible input. Comprehensible input is supposed to be enjoyable, and the reason behind that is that it's something that you want to be able to do for hours and hours and hours every day, right? This is excellent news for those of us who, if you were like me, I used to think the best way to learn a language was just to be very diligent about going through your textbook every day, doing your little exercises, filling in the blanks, and then if you just suffer and struggle through that for years and years and years, you eventually will become fluent in the language. Well, that is very wrong, right? First of all, it's hard to motivate yourself to do those kind of things all day long. But what is easy? Watching Netflix, reading Harry Potter, doing things that you enjoy. We all have some kind of input that we enjoy in our everyday life to begin with. So comprehensible input is a very natural way to start learning language. So if you're already at a level of, I would say maybe intermediate to advanced in your target language, then all you need to do to make huge gains in your language is just sit your butt on the couch and watch a Netflix show in your target language. Or if you're a reader, then open up a novel and go through a novel that you enjoy. Don't stop and try to study the text that you're reading. Okay, this is not school. This is for enjoyment. And that's the secret to making really fast gains. Now, of course, many of us are learning a language and we're not quite at the point yet where we can do that, right? You open up a novel and you just look at a whole bunch of random unknown words that you've never seen before. Well, you're not going to be able to make any progress because that input is not comprehensible yet. And that's fine. If you're starting off or you're just a beginner, then you might need to start with some input that is just designed for beginners. So it's very easy, it's simple, and it's made with beginners in mind. There's plenty of great, excellent, comprehensible YouTube channels or books designed for beginners that you can read through, all in Spanish or all in Korean or whatever it is that you're learning. Right, there's YouTube channels that you can watch that are all entirely in your target language, and they are comprehensible input. But there's lots of other channels out there that are designed to teach you the language. Okay, they're not just designed to expose you to the language or just show you how the language works by example. They try to break everything down and teach you the rules of the language. They use lots of English to explain what they're talking about, and that is not what we're looking for. That's not comprehensible input. If you're a grammar nerd like me and you just love to learn how languages work, that's fine. You can study that kind of stuff on your own time, okay? But that is not comprehensible input, okay? So put that off to the side for a little bit and spend a little bit of time every day just taking in the language. I'm actually gonna show you a short clip from a channel called You Can Chinese, all right? And whether or not you speak any Chinese already, you should be able to understand what is going on because the comprehensible input is comprehensible, okay? They use visualizations and they'll show you little pictures to show exactly what they're talking about. And so this video clip is just gonna be some simple questions and answers about different types of clothing. So it's not super fascinating, but the fascinating part is that you're understanding Chinese even if you've never learned it before. So take a look.
这是什么？这是 T 恤。 是什么？这是 T 恤。这是什么？这是短裤。这是什么？这是短裤。这是什么？这是 T 恤。这是什么？这是短裤。
So the beautiful thing here is you're learning by example. You're just seeing a native speaker use the language and you understand the message that they're trying to convey. You might not be able to reproduce all of the words right away. You might not understand what each word individually means, but you know what they're trying to say, and all of it is starting to sink in. And the more you expose yourself to the language in this way, the more it's just going to become very natural and it's just going to sink into your brain, maybe subconsciously. And of course, a video about t-shirts and shorts is not super fascinating. You're not going to want to keep watching this for indefinitely. But you start learning about t-shirts and shorts and different types of clothes, and then you learn about the colors of the clothes, and you can clearly just see what is being talked about on the screen. So you're never lost. It's very simple, it's very easy. And then you start learning about the people who are wearing the clothes, and it just gets progressively more advanced until you're learning about slightly more interesting concepts. And then after that, you start to get into slightly more complicated, slightly more interesting types of comprehensible input. Like, for example, my book, which is, very basic and beginner friendly, but, it's a short story about zombies, right? And it's kind of funny and it holds your interest a little bit more than shirts and shorts and shoes, right? And then as you progress and you keep finding more and more comprehensible input that is at your level, eventually you'll get to the point where you can understand TV shows. You won't be able to understand everything, okay, but you can understand enough to follow along, right? And it's not as hard as you might think, because actually if you watch a TV show or a movie on mute, you'll actually be able to understand quite a bit of what's happening just by watching the show. So don't be intimidated by not knowing enough yet, or by thinking that you have to understand every single word. It's not about that. It's about enjoying yourself and enjoying the process of learning a language. So I want to encourage you to start using comprehensible input in your daily language learning routine, no matter what level you're currently at.